What's up guys, it's Michael, and recently I made a realization that I have been gatekeeping some information from you guys. And at the end of the day, my purpose in this channel is to help you learn about real estate investing, and right now I'm only posting once per week. In order to help you learn a little bit faster, I'm gonna give you some of the resources that have helped me learn about real estate investing that ultimately has helped me grow my net worth. So as a side note, I am not affiliated with any of the resources I'm gonna mention in this video today. These are resources that genuinely have helped me grow my understanding in real estate investing and just finance in general. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Michael and I am a software engineer in the Bay Area and a part-time real estate investor. And I teach people why they need to be investing in real estate if you want to grow your net worth. So here we go, buckle in, because in this video, I'm going to be sharing my Hall of Fame resources that have really taught me the most about real estate investing. So starting with the GOAT of all resources, the greatest of all time, the Michael Jordan of the NBA, it's going to be BiggerPockets. BiggerPockets is the king of all resources when you're talking about real estate investing. If you don't know what BiggerPockets is, it's probably because you've never bought a rental property before or even searched up how to invest in real estate on YouTube. Again, I am not affiliated with BiggerPockets in any way, shape, or form, and these are my honest opinions because this is how I started learning about real estate investing, was BiggerPockets. So BiggerPockets is a company. They have a YouTube channel, they have a podcast, they have a forum which is very active, and they have a ton of books where you can start learning about real estate investing. So I've learned a ton from their YouTube videos, but I think my favorite form of content from them is their podcast episodes, so you can go check them out on Spotify. Also, I'm a very active member of the BiggerPockets forums. It's probably the only forums that I'm actually a member of. I'm not really a forums type of person, but that forum is actually really active. And so I asked probably over 50 questions in that forum, and I get answers from, qualified investors giving me real unsolicited advice. And lastly, I've probably read like 10 real estate investing books, all from BiggerPockets. So now let's move on to the next type of resources, podcasts. Lately, I've been learning a lot about real estate investing through podcasts, and it's mostly because you can listen to podcasts when you're doing really brainless activities. So for me, I like to listen to podcasts when I'm on the Stairmaster at the gym, or when I'm at the golf range. I'll just put in my headphones in and listen to a podcast that's 30 or 40 minutes long. And most of the time when I drive to my office, which is like 40 minutes away, I'll listen to one episode of a BiggerPockets podcast. A really good podcast that's like a subsidiary of BiggerPockets is something called On the Market podcast, and I literally watch every single episode of On the Market. Actually, to be honest with you, I actually stopped watching the BiggerPockets podcast because I felt like they're a little bit more beginner friendly, and I really like the On the Market podcast, which is also a BiggerPockets funded podcast. So this is how I've been learning about real estate investing. I'd listen to an episode of a podcast, and if there are any terms that I don't really understand, then I would go Google that or just watch a YouTube video about, what is bonus depreciation or something like that, and then I would learn about it that way. So with regards to podcasts, I would say the gold medal has to go to On the Market podcast. It's, again, the podcast that I listen to every single episode when it comes out, and I'm actively waiting for new episodes to come out. Now, in second place, I'm going to have to give the silver medal to Alex Hormozi. He has a podcast called The Game. It's a business podcast, and he just talks about all things business, and he just drops a lot of golden gems regarding business, how to grow a business, what to do when you start a business, just a ton of advice on how to start a successful business and scale it. And in third place with the bronze medal, I'm gonna have to give that to the BiggerPockets podcast. I think the BiggerPockets podcast is a great podcast for beginners. They have a lot of guests come on who talk about, how they scaled from 0 to 100 units in real estate investing and reach financial freedom. So there's a lot of good content on that podcast. Actually, that's probably the podcast that I would recommend first for anyone who is starting to look into real estate investing. And with the honorable mention in the podcast category, I'm gonna have to give it to the Real Estate CPA podcast. If you guys follow me at all, a lot of my content is about real estate taxes and how it can be really, really beneficial, especially if you're a high income earner. I would say 80% of what I know when it comes to real estate taxes comes from this podcast, the Real Estate CPA. So again, I'm not affiliated. It's just a really good podcast where they give a lot of great content on real estate tax benefits. Speaking of real estate taxes, this is actually going to be its own category, even though it's not like a platform. So let's talk about real estate taxes for a second. Now, if you're a high income earner, you're probably going to be more interested in these next resources that I name right now. So the people on this list have taught me everything I know about real estate taxes. So here's a list in the order of my loyalty towards them. With the gold medal, I'm going to have to give it to Carlton Dennis. He's probably my favorite YouTuber who talks about real estate taxes. And he is a enrolled agent, which is like the highest designation that you can get as a tax professional. I would say his main platform is YouTube, not so much his podcast, although he does have a podcast and it's pretty good. I think I like the Real Estate CPA podcast a little bit more, but Carlton Dennis's YouTube channel is unbeaten. So Carlton Dennis was the person who opened my eyes to real estate taxes and the benefits that I can give, even to a W-2 employee. To this day, I think Carlton Dennis has probably one of the most influential videos I've ever watched on YouTube, and I'm gonna show that right here. Again, he's probably one of the first real estate tax influencers that I followed, and to this day, he probably puts out the best content when it comes to reducing your taxes with real estate. And next, with the silver medal, I'm gonna have to give it to the Real Estate CPA. Again, they also have a YouTube channel, and I like their podcast a little bit more than Carlton Dennis's podcast. But again, they both kind of preach the same ideas. The Real Estate CPA has this community called like the Tax Smart Insiders. I think you can sign up and get like a 30-day free trial, and it's basically like a Facebook group, but it's like a personal website where you can post questions and you can actually get answers from the advisors from that firm. And I think you only pay like $97 per month, and you can just ask unlimited questions. And last but not least, I'm gonna have to give the bronze medal to Doherty Tax Solutions. I can't say enough about this resource because he's mostly on Instagram, but he posts really informative and really clear and concise Instagram posts where I can read the content, and it's very concise and very easy to understand. So if you're on Instagram a lot, you might want to consider following Doherty Tax Solutions. And then on a side note, I actually work with Ashish from the Investor Friendly CPA, and I actually made a YouTube video with him a few weeks ago. So I actually work with Ashish. He is my tax strategist and CPA. We plan throughout the year to help me buy assets that are going to help me in the most tax efficient manner. And he also files my taxes for me. So Ashish isn't on this list because he's not really that big on social media, but he does answer a lot of questions on the Bigger Pockets forums. And based on his answers, I can tell that he was very knowledgeable. And so that's why I reached out to him, and that's why I work with him today. So if you want to work with Ashish, you can go ahead and find the link in the description. And quick tip, I've actually found that if you want to work with like a really big popular firm, not only is it going to cost you a lot of money, but they're not really going to give you the attention that you need. But at the same time, if you work with a smaller firm, they might give you a lot of attention and reply to your emails pretty quickly, but it might be because they're not as knowledgeable. So I've personally found that working with Ashish has been very enjoyable, mostly because he, responds very quickly, and he's very attentive, and he's very knowledgeable as well. So now let's move on to the next resource, books. So to be honest, I consume about 90% of my real estate investing content through podcasts and YouTube. My favorite is probably YouTube though. So I really only have 5 suggestions when it comes to books, and these are essential books that really changed my entire psychology on money. So these 5 books are: number 1, Rich Dad Poor Dad; number 2, How to Invest in Real Estate by Brandon Turner. He is one of the co-hosts of the Bigger Pockets podcast, or he was at least. Number 3, I have The Millionaire Next Door. Number 4, I have The E-Myth. And number 5, I have The Psychology of Money. Now let's move on to the next category of resources. Let's talk about mentors. So the thing that people get wrong about mentors is mentors are not private tutors, okay? These are not people that are gonna sit next to you and look over your shoulder and watch everything that you do and correct everything that you do. That's not how mentors work. From my experience, a mentor is someone that you don't have to personally know, but it's someone that you look up to and you follow on a daily basis. And I think the thing that I realized for myself, and maybe you might need to ask yourself this, but the most important thing that I find in a mentor is lifestyle. Ultimately, I only want to follow somebody if I know that they know how to get to where I want to be. So although there are a lot of mentors out there, I choose to follow just a few people on social media who I really admire the way that they live. And so for me, here are my Hall of Fame mentors that I found over the past 5 years or so. At the number 1 spot with the gold medal, I'm gonna have to give it to Michael, who has a YouTube channel called One Rental at a Time. I love Michael's message about just being consistent every single day and just building your net worth with one rental at a time. So the reason why I like Michael is because he has this ideology that you need to put in the work every single day. You just need to do the same things over and over and over. And if you can be consistent, you can eventually succeed in real estate investing. I really love his channel of just saying whatever he feels. He's completely honest about pretty much every topic, and I really appreciate the honesty. So Michael is a buy and hold investor. He invests mostly in the Fresno, California area, and I've actually met him in person a few times. Again, I really appreciate Michael's content because it's very honest, and I can tell that he's really just trying to help people grow their net worth and become financially free. Now in second place with the silver medal, I'm gonna have to give it to Lane over at Simple Passive Cash Flow. So Lane is a completely different type of investor from Michael. Their ideology and how you should invest in real estate is pretty different because Lane is a operator of a syndication, and he advises a lot of the people underneath him or people that he teaches to become investors into syndications so that they can collect passive income. So I personally identify a lot with Lane because in his past life, before financial freedom, he was an engineer himself. And I think at the age of 33, he was able to reach financial freedom by investing in real estate. And now he operates syndications where he raises money from investors, uses the money to go buy these like bigger apartment complexes and then renovates, increases rents, and then sells them and then distributes the profit down to the investors. So he's doing that now. And I think that's kind of what I wanted to do if I were to ever reach financial freedom. So I think that's partially why I follow him so much. Now, last but not least, with the bronze medal, I'm gonna have to give it to Rob from Rob Builds YouTube channel. So I discovered Rob's channel when he had about 5,000 YouTube subscribers. Now he has like 260,000 subscribers on YouTube. And at the time, he was known for building tiny home Airbnbs, which he built in Joshua Tree, California. And 3 years ago, I actually did a consultation with him where I paid him some money and we talked on the phone for an hour, and he convinced me to basically invest into Joshua Tree. And if you know anything about my story, you know that in 2020, I bought a home for $225,000 in Joshua Tree, and exactly a year later, I sold it for $500,000. And that all was a byproduct of talking to Rob Builds on the phone for 1 hour. I really identify with Rob's message when it comes to running an Airbnb. For him, it's all about providing the best possible experience, because at the end of the day, the better experience you can provide for your short-term rental guests, the better your property is going to perform. Now, on a side note, there are some content creators that I actually stopped following recently. One of those creators is Graham Stephan, and again, not to throw shade, but he's a great content creator who does really well on YouTube. But I just find that the content that he creates is a little too generic for me nowadays. So there it is. Those are my Hall of Fame resources for you guys. Now you guys can go ahead and watch all the videos from all those content creators. I guarantee you they are all amazing content creators. It's taken me about 5 years to pull together this list and kind of weed out all the bad creators from the good ones. So if you guys enjoy this content, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Again, I post videos every Sunday about real estate investing and how to grow your net worth. And so hopefully you guys find that useful. And if you guys do, then stick around for the next video. See you guys.